We just watched the drama last night featuring Zendaya and Robert Pattinson, and we're going to give you our spoiler-free thoughts for about 5 to 10 minutes, and then we will warn you with spoilers. We're going to do what the trailer did for this movie, and we're not going to reveal the big drama, the portion that you should not spoil yourself before seeing the movie. When you go to see the movie, you'll see what the whole buzz is about, because the trailers for it's an A24 film, did a great job at keeping it mysterious and having to know what is the drama. Why?
Fantastic trailer. For the first time in a long time that I've noticed this. Common complaint is trailers give away too much information.
I hate trailers
and
for that
basically
reason. Hate it.
Spoil it.
Yeah.
This is a great trailer. Fantastic. It cuts out the most important information, gets the buzz going, and you go in. Fantastic trailer. So
A24 is great at all their trailers.
Props.
Did you see the new trailer for what's the movie with Seth Rogen? And The Invite? I think it's The Invite. With the two couples.
I think so. I'm not sure.
You showed up to the theater a little late. It played before the movie as well.
Then maybe I haven't.
But even if they do it in such a fun way where revealing the names of Seth Rogen and others, it was fun. I won't go over the whole thing. But with the drama, my goodness. I was hearing great things because we're watching this a week afterwards. But this is directed by Christoph Borgli. And sorry if I'm getting that name wrong. This was my first film of the director that I've seen personally. Is it also your first?
It is.
It is awesome. And this has an hour and 46-minute runtime. And as we mentioned, it has a big cast, the star-studded cast with Zendaya and Robert Pattinson as our leads in this. It starts off as this rom-com in a way that you kind of see like a meet cute, but it's a romance at its core. And the story is we have Zendaya's character, Emma, and Robert Pattinson's character, Charlie. So Emma and Charlie are about to get married, and it's showing a quick flashbacks of how they first met and their relationship, and they're about to get married, and they all sit down with their best man and their maid of honor as they're doing wine tasting for their venue. And as they're doing this, they're like, hey, let's talk about the worst thing we've ever done. And they go one by one by one by one. And when Emma reveals the worst thing she has done, what the fuck, Emma? And that is where the drama begins. And can Robert Pattinson's character Zendaya still get married with this drama about her past? That's the core. That's the story at its core. And before we give our full personal thought, I just want to say it isn't. I loved the movie.
Yeah,
I loved the movie, and this is going to be an awesome chat. So if I would highly recommend it. Mm-hmm. Rich, how else would you give some feelings to the movie, spoiler free, about what to expect?
The feeling that you get when you're watching this movie is a ton of awkward internal good cringe of you're just squirming watching this slow moving car wreck, and you're like,
Intentional cringe. Yeah.
Intentional cringe. I was fidgeting. I was like covering my face. I was like, oh no. I was just squirming in my seat.
Mm-hmm.
So it accomplished its mission. It did exactly what it was supposed to for me.
It's also weirdly funny, but awkward, but tense. Ooh, all
dark.
Of it.
It definitely swinging in emotions of like, you start questioning yourself of you see the characters' reactions to information and going, well, I'm reacting differently. Am I the weird one? And then more information comes out like, oh, actually, this is much worse. Oh, maybe this is better. You're constantly in flux with these characters.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic place to be.
There's certainly content warnings for this. This is not a family-friendly movie. Mm-hmm. I would also, giving the content warning spoils what the reveal could be. So I don't want to say exactly what it is other than it's a very sensitive topic. So look out for that. And if you want to look up what that sensitive topic is before watching the movie, go ahead and look it up. I just don't want to spoil anything with saying what that is. So it's touchy. It's interesting. No, to us, very interesting. But I would say it's not going to be a movie everyone watches and is super comfortable with. Yeah. Because this is a movie that if you want to go to the theaters and after leaving have a discussion, a conversation, this is what movies should do. Is it's deeply entertaining, and I mean entertaining like all the things it's going for, the cringe, the awkward, funny, and then provoke a discussion that is gonna last it lives off the screen. It successfully does that, and I love A24 movies. Just bang, they're just awesome. How many A24 films have just come out and they're new, they're inventive. It's also such a unique concept. I loved it.
Yeah. No, A24 is the studio right now. If you actually are, tired of your kind of blockbuster Hollywood movies or cookie cutter stuff.
Which, by the way, Project Hail Mary, our recent blockbuster's also banging. Like,
all
of these
we're
in good times right now.
The boys are back.
Yeah. Hey, the gals are back. No, I mean, I get what you mean with Ryland Grace. Yeah, Ryland Grace. And Rocky the bromance. I get you.
Yeah. The boys, I'm still waiting on the gals. The gals are in the wing. I'm saying right now, the boys are back. The gals are right in the wing. I'm waiting.
You know who impressed me is Zendaya.
That gal she's been here. She's even further. Like,
there's a conversation here. So a lot. She has this not repetition.
Repertoire?
No, not repertoire, but reputation. She has this reputation, Zendaya, of like one of the Hollywood cast types who, you hear like, oh, The Rock's in a movie, you know what The Rock's gonna play, or you hear Ryan Reynolds and you know what Ryan Reynolds is gonna do. Zendaya, because she's got this, she has this reputation as like not being the best actress, at least from what I hear. Right, I had a not negative opinion, but just when I heard Zendaya is in a film, I'm going, okay, it's not like an actress I'm going out to see. It's not like Emma Stone for me of a must-see actress or
she also would generally
Cate Blanchett or
she would have a certain type of character. She would always fit of like
sarcastic Spider-Man type.
Yeah, the awkward but sarcastic and quippy character.
Yeah, where she was kind of getting fit into a role where she played more like a Zendaya archetype than she did the whatever character she's doing. This is the second film now I've seen. So I've seen Challengers with Zendaya, and now I've seen others as well, but Challengers and this one, the drama. Yeah, she's broken that for me. Like, she is able to encapsulate a role, and she's not that typecast that I'd expect. I think she's moved out of that as an actress. And that's been awesome to see. And also Robert Pattinson, who has already been in a bunch of...
He's been out of the box, but I just want to note, like, I'm happy to see before when he started taking some of these different roles, and, like, I remember when he came out, I was like, oh, he's going to be playing Batman.
Yeah.
And people are like going,
whoa,
really?
The Twilight guy? Yeah.
And, like, he was still kind of in that box. So people their first impression is, Twilight character. And especially with this movie and a bunch of others that are now being announced, I think he's firmly like broken out of that box he was put in. He's a fantastic actor.
Yeah. Oh, both did a phenomenal job. The editing is fantastic in this movie. They make great decisions as well. The director, Christopher, I don't know if it's Christopher again. Sorry if I'm pronouncing wrong piece. This is still my first movie I've seen from him, but I want to see all of them now. Fantastic stuff. And all right, Rich, can you give people any similar movie to this of what to expect at all, or are you lost for comparisons?
I am fairly lost on a comparison. This is hard to think of.
That's a pitch in and of itself, I guess. Right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what's another like good slow moving car wreck.
Oh, I mean, I guess your Uncut Gems, and then your maybe Marty Supreme, where it's just a.
Yeah, but they're different.
It's not even the same kind of thing.
Yeah, so. It's just a very unique movie. Definitely have to go see it.
Yep, and see if do they have their wedding day? Do they not? Do they end up going down the aisle with all of this drama? It's intense. Go watch it again with the content warnings, and also not family friendly, so don't bring your kids. And all right, so what is your Rambler rating? Oh, last thing I want to say is, can you guess the online Rotten Tomatoes score for the drama?
93%.
For critics or audience, or either one of them?
For audience.
80% audience.
Damn.
77% critics.
What?
It's a more divisive movie where it's got people either seem to really love it or are really dissatisfied with it. There's a bit of a bounce I've seen, and this is just from like 10 minutes of research. So it's from what I've seen from reception so far and from the scores we're seeing, it's hit or miss. And what did it hit or miss for you, Rich? What's your Rambler rating out of 5 stars?
It hit for me 4.25. Really great movie.
Nice. And I gave it a 5 stars.
Floored you.
It floored me. I think this is a movie I would want to rewatch with somebody. I want to discuss with people. It's in a lot of the categories that we discussed throughout this. You can check out our breakdown above. What is your highest category? What do you think it did best?
Emotions.
Social impact. Okay. Yeah.
The thing that I was out loud, I was physically squirming.
Oh, yeah.
I had to look away. Sometimes I was, it got the intended emotions out of me.
Yeah, it got a lot of 5s for me. So I think it does a ton correct. And again, watch this movie here. And let's get into spoilers time. You ready?
Sounds good.
Spoiler warning. This is your chance to click off so you don't get spoiled the drama. And
spoils.
Okay.
All right.
Quick plot overview.
This will be nice and short.
Sure.
I could do this pretty quick.
Yeah.
Emma reveals during her wine tasting that the worst thing that she ever did is that she almost committed a school shooting. That she didn't go through with it, but she planned one and ultimately decided not to. This starts the drama with her maid of honor going, "What the fuck? I shouldn't be cursing. I'm sorry, YouTube." But she's going crazy. Like, my cousin got paralyzed by a school shooter. Like, you're awful. And then that starts exploding. The husband-to-be starts questioning things of, like, who are you? Can I still even get married to you? And so as this is going on, they're trying to get ready for the wedding. He's now having second thoughts.
Everything's reminding him of this. Even the photo shoot they have, where it's like, all right, we're gonna shoot your grandma, we're gonna shoot your dad, shoot your when they're making the wedding photographers talking about this. The mug in their house reminds him of because it's like a hey, shoot first, coffee later, or something like that. Everything's reminding him of this. He looks for confirmation bias with his coworker, who he ends up
he is crying in front of his coworker and then kisses his coworker. And almost has an affair, almost cheats on his fiance to be, but
this because he was asking that coworker, like, "Hey, what would you do if your boyfriend revealed your boyfriend almost committed a mass shooting?" And she was responding to Charlie, going, "Call the police. It's horrible. I would never." And he's going insane because he's trying to defend Emma, his bride to be, when it seems like he can't defend her well, because the reason she gives for why she's about to commit the mass shooting or why she stopped doing it wasn't this like profound reason to do it, right? Like, he was trying to find, oh wait, didn't you witness that car crash when you were a kid and that traumatized you, and that's why. She's like, no, it wasn't that. It was yeah.
And this will get into thought-provoking stuff of like how much do we sympathize? Like, how much do we justify terrible actions because of their own terrible actions done upon them?
Right.
And like, does empathy only go so far in the sense of, oh, you were a victim, and so I will empathize with you? Like,
right.
That's
a lot of
I think
questions
that's a good question to ask of, can you empathize with someone who's not necessarily a victim?
Right. And then so it brings us to our wedding itself, right? They do go to the wedding, and there's the drama of both the past of the school shooting, and also he cheated on her, kissed this other person, almost was going to have sex with the coworker. Yeah.
And ultimately, Charlie messes the whole thing up. He's trying to give his speech, and basically he kind of outs a bunch of all the details, gets punched in the face by the boyfriend of the coworker, and he ends up the whole wedding party breaks apart, and he waits at the diner that him and Emma talked about previously in the movie, and she arrives and basically says, "Hey, can we start again?" And
as seemingly
trying to forgive and move forward with him. That's the end of the movie.
All right, let's get into the actual review now. Just a brief synopsis, and let's do emotional impact. What did you give the emotions out of 5 stars?
4.5. Spectacular.
5 for me. Floored me. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
What were you feeling during this movie? What was the scene that like you basically went, yeah, no, this is a 5?
I mean, it was the cringe. It was the awkward laughter. It was the genuine laughter. It was the tense pull the whole entire movie had. But for me, the most emotional part, or the most tense and weird, uncomfortable feeling was the wedding itself, the speech.
Yes.
And the speech that Charlie, the husband, Robert Pattinson's character Charlie, has been planning the entire movie in the backdrop, and it had all this emotion behind the speech, because at first we get this very rom-com like meet cute introduction between him and Emma, where he walks up to her. You can see how much anxiety he has as a character, and he's looking around and uncomfortable going up to meet her. He sees she's reading a book, so he takes a picture of the book and he looks it up so he can pretend he knows about the book. You know, you've seen that kind of rom-com before. So he walks up to her, he's talking like, hey, so I read your book, yeah. And she ignores him, and he's like, well, okay. He feels more uncomfortable. She turns, ends up she had earphones on in one of her ears, and she's deaf in the other. And then that becomes a cute part of the romance, where the fact that she was deaf and he whispered, I love you, for the first time into her deaf ear, and it's so touching. And then when you find out she's deaf because she almost committed a mass shooting and she was practicing, oh my goodness. And so now throughout the movie with his speech, he is now editing his speech to go. At first he was going to say to her, oh, you're the most empathetic person I know, you're the kindest person in the world. Now you see him throughout the movie deleting those portions.
You're the kindest person I've met. And he's like,
oh, I can't really say that
can't
now.
say that.
Because it was such a believable romance. She's such a funny person that we meet, and has these quirks to her that's so endearing, of like, you know, trying to ease tension, but at the same time she has little outbursts as well, where she's like yelling at somebody that's about to run her over. So it's all that to build up to the climax of the actual wedding speech, where he was joking with his best man of like, oh, I kind of want to talk about our sex, but not make it like, you know, obvious I'm talking about the sex. I'll say it in like a cool way that's laughable in public. But then his speech comes, he's drinking. It just got revealed that he cheated on her the night, or a couple days before, a day before. And so as he's giving this speech, he completely screws it up. He says all the wrong things. He's like, hey, why are you all, he just starts yelling at people, and he just brings up, and our sex is great. and he's fumbling in this awkward this moment was so, like, you understand as he's saying every word, we as the audience go, okay, the fun joke you planned for the sex now just came off like you just trained through it, so that came off awkward. I think you just said something about your wife potentially doing a mass shooting as well, and you cheated on her, and now the guy that you cheated on her with, the boyfriend of that guy, comes up and knocks you in the face.
Also,
oh my god,
what a tiny detail here.
Yeah.
Of very the boyfriend, stand-up dude, because I noticed that he didn't go up like, oh, you punched my girlfriend in the face, which in general is normally not legally acceptable, but most guys are like,
yeah,
most people are going, yeah, hey, not good. Violence, man-on-man violence is generally acceptable in that circumstance. However, the boyfriend goes the extra step, like a little, like, I just thought it was worth noting. He says, did you sexually assault my girlfriend?
Yeah, sexually harass or assault.
The key was, like, and to him, his main concern was, like, not that it happened, but how? Like, did you assault my girlfriend? What, like, was it voluntary? Was it assault? And basically he, like, Pattinson said, like, well, I kind of, and then, like, bam, hit him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, you know what? Good guy. Good guy.
Even at this wedding, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ultimately, his girlfriend does not deserve him. Because, one, she's also said, like, oh,
she's a serial cheater. Yeah.
He kissed me. It wasn't. And it's like, no, she was about to, like.
She also threw her dress down. But as after he kissed, she just had a conversation with Charlie's character saying how the worst thing she'd done was cheating, which I thought that was really interesting. That doesn't look all that awful in comparison to what Charlie's dealing with, right? It looks like nothing, even though it's really bad what she did.
Yeah.
So there's all that scene, but then
then you add in a little bit to this of throughout most of this movie. There, I think the biggest comparison, and we'll get this into thought provoking, is basically thought versus action.
Mm-hmm.
What's the most terrible thing you've thought?
Yeah.
What's the most terrible thing you've like planned to do? And then what's the most terrible thing you've actually done?
Yep.
And what's worse? Like comparing those scales of like, that is important in the sense of Emma, she planned a much worse, much more horrifying thing, but ultimately didn't do it.
Others did, yeah.
And then,
Mm-hmm.
turned her life around. All these other people did, like, they planned or
harmed somebody.
They actually harmed someone.
Mm-hmm.
Emma only harmed herself, ultimately.
Oh, want to cap off emotional impact, then we'll get into that. So what I had to build up that wedding scene because so much tension, awkwardness was behind it. But what for you was what pulled you? Why was it spectacular?
I would agree that it was probably the most.
Yeah,
that was the most emotional. However, honestly, every scene with the maid of honor just got me.
Was her name Rachel? Yeah,
Rachel.
Yep. Mike and Rachel. Mike's the best, but Rachel sucks.
Oh God, Rachel is terrible. Like, amazing job by like the movie and the actress of like you put the potential school shooter next to Rachel and makes me want to root for Emma because I'm like, my God, Rachel, you suck. You're awful person. So
she really made those scenes work, and especially with let's get into her with her character reasons, but I think some of the
favorite joke from the trailer that it was in the trailer, but I loved it in the movie is Patterson's character Charlie, like them talking about they're in a meet. He's talking with Rachel and about Emma, and he counters back to her of like, "Hey, Emma ultimately didn't actually do it. You actually locked a special needs kid in a closet."
No, I didn't.
It's like,
he wasn't special needs.
You said he was slow.
You said he was slow. You said he was. It's the hand movement for me. It's the hands. It's him going, no. You said he was slow. You said he was. You said he. It's like you've seen that, and when people argue of like, he did that so perfectly.
I know.
It was like, nope. You said it. I heard it.
Said he was slow.
How many times have you seen somebody in an argument get so they just nope? I know what I heard, right? It was so well done. So well done.
I laughed out loud. That was hilarious.
That's another part of the emotional part of this movie is how funny it was, but the awkward funny. So like, the most uncomfortable laugh moments for me was going, oh, this is funny, but what the heck am I smirking at, right? Because when Zendaya's character, again, Emma, I think we could just say Emma and Charlie now. We got it through enough. But with Emma's character, we see her as a kid filming her manifesto to after she's about to commit this mass shooting, that what will people see afterwards. As she's filming the manifesto, she gets a software update on her computer. It's not the manifesto. And as she's like, oh, shoot. And she goes to continue again, and then her computer reboots or something. And it's this funny giggle moment in like a horrifying, depraved manifesto at the same time. We knowing that she doesn't do it, does that make it like, is this okay to laugh? Because it's weird, it's awkward funny. It's going, oh, what a, like, think of what the extreme thing she's doing, and she's dealing with like the everyday person. I've dealt with an update on my software before.
It's a very serious thing being interrupted by a common occurrence.
Yeah. And it's but there's moments like that. But the biggest laugh, but also uncomfortableness as well, was the transition from her and Charlie having this uncomfortable discussion on the couch and being like, "Hey, we gotta go to our photo shoot," and being cut, and then the photographer talking about, okay, here's our list of who we're going to shoot. We're going to shoot this person, then we're going to shoot your mom, then we're going to shoot your dad, and you see both of them horrified looks. But I was laughing so hard them during the photo shoot of trying to look like they loved each other.
Charlie, remember, you love this woman. Smile. No, like an actual smile.
Look like you guys have lived before. Sorry. Look like you guys have like each other, you know? Oh.
That was really funny.
It's uncomfortable. It's funny. There's so much stuff here. Anything for you? Do you want to bring up another scene that hit you as well? Because it was a good point to bring up some of the uncomfortable laughter in here. Anything else for you?
I think may come up later. But
okay, we'll bring it up as we keep going then. Thought provokingness.
So far,
yeah.
Maybe I'll raise it here after our discussion, but 3.75, really good.
I gave a 5. Floored me. Yeah. I think there's a lot to discuss. I want to start off with what the themes, what the movie is getting at and talking about first, because there's a lot here to break down, I think.
Yeah. I think overarching is what is worse? Your thoughts or your actions, I think is a clear delineator, like a difference between all of this. Is like, can you equate someone's thoughts to their actions? To some degree, you should, but how far are you willing to go for that? And so this takes that whole idea to an extreme.
And in the case of Emma, she does the actions of literally getting the rifle, practicing shooting, doing her manifesto. It's not like this was just an intrusive thought. She acted upon about to do it as well. Still did not do the thing. But she still had a lot of actions as the 14-year-old kid she was. It's one of those things where, like with my OCD brain, I'll have an intrusive thought can come in of like, oh, what if a car accident happened right now? And it's like a scary thought, right?
Well,
but then this is something there was more... She believed it, and she actually was about to do it.
That's what I mean. Like, intrusive thought is a thought in your head that you really have. It's no control over it. There's no conviction behind it. This is like, there's conviction.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't, when I mean there's no action in the sense of she didn't actually do it. She didn't harm anybody. She harmed herself. But compare that, but it's still, she planned a school shooting. That is... like, probably the worst of the worst you can do.
Yeah.
And so, compare that
there's really not much worse. I don't think there is. Yeah.
But then you compare Charlie. Apparently, like, Charlie cyberbullied a kid into moving. Much, much lower scale, ultimately, compared to mass shooting. But he actually did harm someone. She didn't.
Yeah.
Like, at the end of the day, like, life caught her, like, she was able to turn around before she hurt anybody. Charlie actually hurt someone. All the other characters actually caused harm. Yeah, and so like that I think is that's one of the things to talk about, really.
The movie asks you the question, what's forgivable?
Yeah.
What can you forgive? And it does a great job at making this interesting and thought-provoking when it goes, hey, let's flash back to her literally practicing shooting and marking off kids that she's going to kill one by one. But then let's jump forward to show how much she regrets this. And she became an activist. And look at her. Look at how long ago this was. She's 30 now. She was 14 then. It's over half her life ago. But then going back to the scene and go, yeah.
But then you start off like there's a nugget in you going like, okay, she was planning on doing a mass shooting. And then you go, well, was she like tortured? Did she have a torturous childhood? Did something
witnessed
happen
a car accident? That must have been so traumatic.
Was she like mercilessly beat up, bullied at school? What happened? And ultimately revealed
she was tripped by a bully.
Yeah, but regular bully stuff.
Like Spider-Man level bullying, right? Tobey Maguire's gone through worse, right?
Exactly. And so you go, okay, that's not enough. And then it's revealed more that it was just the aesthetics, the identity. Like, she got caught up in because she's isolated.
Outsider,
She's the outsider. She became just enamored with this identity. So not even anything deeply personal. It's just something that grabbed her attention she wanted to do.
And then the reason she doesn't do it is because another person beat her to a shooting that day. There was a local mall where one of the students was killed in this shooting. She saw the reactions from her fellow classmates, but then also through that shooting that just happened, she was seen for the first time by other kids in her classroom because it's this oh my god, the double meaning behind this line behind the kid actress who did amazing, by the way, where one of the classrooms talking about mass shootings now. They're getting it. They're having uncomfortable conversations because when the students passed away, they bring up how hey, it's usually a male problem with these mass shootings, and she brings up, well, no, that's not always the case. Look at the I Hate Mondays killer, or whatever the killer was. Like, women have also committed mass shootings as well. And we know as the audience, she's bringing this up because she's researched it. She wanted to replicate this stuff, and it's horrifying because that's why she knows it. This other boy in the class looks at that and goes, oh, she's such an activist because she probably looked up this stuff and is like, hates gun violence, and she clearly knows this fact about it because she knows how awful and pervasive it is.
Yeah.
So they have two completely different, and the reason he interprets it that way and therefore is like, hey, come lead our gun activist club. And so now she's welcome for the first time, and she realizes through how much she researched and wanted to do a mass shooting, then somehow turns into this activist because she's welcomed into there. And also literally the only reason she doesn't do it is somebody beat her first. And so that for Charlie, that is such a moment of going like, oh, that's what he's fixating on.
Yeah.
He can't get beyond that.
I think it's also, now that's the most cynical way, is like, she was beat to it and the limelight would be gone. And that, like, that's one way to take it. The other way is, I think a really important moment was when they're doing this whole like weird exercise in the gym and like walk around to look into the other person's eyes and like, empathize with them and feel what they think and try to feel and think about how they see you. And she comes across this girl, and during this whole process, she gets to see the reaction, like how people react to a school shooter.
Yep.
And sees how she would be seen.
Yep.
And breaks down crying. And like finally like empathizes. She's putting herself in someone else's shoes and has this key empathy moment. I saw that far more of like, she finally got outside of her isolation and was
100% she did.
That was a very key motivator. It's not just, oh, this mass shooter took the limelight from me. It was, oh, I see how this actually would affect other people. Like, I need to get outside of my own head. To me, that was the big turning moment for her.
Is, and the great back and forth about that makes it, again, uncomfortable is the fact that she wouldn't have been able to change her ways if that mass shooting didn't happen. She was so that event happening of somebody else beating her first, she would have been a mass shooter and she would not have been around anymore, right?
Yep.
Because she wouldn't have had the chance to gain that empathy and all the things that she did learn from this. So it's asking that uncomfortable question to the audience of how many heinous things have been done or some unforgivable acts that if some butterfly effect thing was different, some event happened and they were able to change and see the wrongs of their see the wrongdoings of their ways. That's the question asked. And oh my goodness, because this event happened, she was able to actually realize how wrong she was.
Well, I add in here of, it's brought up in this movie of like the whole idea of copycats of like at one before Columbine, school shootings was just not really a thought. It wasn't at least a common thought. That's just not an idea that most people come across. Like it very much, it just wasn't as common. And after Columbine and subsequent shootings, it is now, everyone is aware of it. And now if someone who's deeply disturbed, a school shooting is not an original thought anymore. It's
copycats.
There's so many copycats. And due to mass shootings, like you get, like that inspires another mass shooter. This is a case of where a mass shooting basically prevented a mass shooting. And it's probably the right way to like go about after a tragedy of like, okay, try to empathize with the others. Like, I don't know. I thought this was interesting. You see so many instances of copycats and people being inspired, like someone inspired by a different mass shooting. And this is one of the cases you see someone prevent it because they see what happened after, which I don't know. I thought that was very interesting. I just didn't see that.
It's
very
another
often.
one of those push and pulls where it's bad act creates good outcome for her not committing the mass shooting again.
Yeah.
The whole movie does this of like this but that's done so well, and we even the core of that whole thing of asking you, hey, what are you able to forgive? I love how this is the most impactful message that's left, or just something that I stew on after watching the movie, is Zendaya's character. She's very quirky now, and she's very funny, and she pulls down Charlie's pants when they're having a tense argument to lighten the mood, and some throughout the relationship, when there's something tense as well, they'll kind of reset. And she tries to early on when they're having a tense argument about this, and she walks over to the couch, introduces herself for the first time, says, "Hey, my name's Emma. What's your name?" And she's trying to role play them meeting for the first time to, reset. Like, hey, let's start over. Like, it's a new day. Let's refocus. And we were arguing. Let's now move past this. And she does this with him on the couch. You see this, her doing this, I think, another time too. And a lot of that is like, hey, how do people cope? How do humans cope and with trauma or just with tense arguments when they just want to start a new day, right? But then after the movie shifts from Robert Pattinson's character Charlie the whole time being the one that's trying to come to terms with, is he marrying a monster? Does he actually know her? Is he going to regret this? How can he forgive her the whole time? And because the wedding, and he ends up cheating on her and then ruining arguably the most important day of her life, her wedding day, in front of her family, her parents, her friends, everybody.
Her reputation
is destroyed. Literally, you can imagine that happening at her wedding. Your social life is ruined in many ways, never the same. Your best friends, and if it gets that's revealed, the cheating's revealed, you're embarrassed, everything. It's hard to imagine like a worse social situation at a wedding happening, right?
Yeah.
That being so now it's in the case where he needs to be forgiven. Here's the special thing that's great about that is his character, when they were giving what's the worst thing he's done, cyberbullying. Like, I was mean to a kid and he ended up moving. I think he was just moving anyways in the first place. By it could have been because I bullied him, I guess. And when he's asked again, what's the worst thing he's ever done? He's like, I can't really think of anything. And he's not like the worst thing he's ever done. That's it. But the worst thing he's actually done is what he just does at this wedding of almost cheating. He does cheat, and then he has a speech where he ruins her day, he ruins their day. So now if he was asked, what's the worst thing you've ever done? Well, it's that, right? Yeah. And so at his lowest moment where he's finally done this inexcusable thing in many ways, and because they had this plan to go to a burger joint or whatever and eat after the wedding. So he's all bloodied and he's there waiting for her. And who can forgive him other than the person who almost committed a mass shooting and knows what it's like to do something that's almost unforgivable, or do something that's she almost did the unforgivable act. Is it forgivable that she had these thoughts and went through it to do it? But the fact that she's able to then reset with him and cope with him and go, hey, my name's Emma.
Well, that's what she did in life. She went from school shooter to like gun activists.
Yeah.
And started like, she reset of like, I'm going to change my identity. I'm going full reset. Hello, I'm Emma.
Yes.
I'm a different Emma now. And that's how she coped and moved forward and changed herself. That's why she wants to do it that way.
Yeah.
And
is the person most capable of forgiveness the potential mass shooter?
Yeah. It's like
wow. Forgiveness is something that's such a virtue, right? It's very hard to forgive, especially when someone does something, a huge attack or grievance towards you, or something that's so unforgivable. It's a virtue to be like, hey, can you genuinely forgive somebody for something, right? Are you capable of doing so? And her ability to do that, coming from such horrible things that she did in her past, is like an uncomfortable question as well to go. Is you compare her then to Rachel, the maid of honor, and go, what makes one character come off as such more of an asshole, an asshat, because of her? Let's get into that. This weaponized, this performative morality that she seems to have.
Yeah,
That because it also touches on that.
It touches into the making situations about yourself, and it's very selfish in nature. Rachel isn't, her first thought isn't like, basically, oh my God, you almost hurt these people. Like, this is terrible. Are you sure you're not going to do it again? Like, what the hell happened? Like, focusing on Emma, her first instinct is of, did you know that my cousin was shot in a mass shooting? It's like, that's sad for you, but like, how is that particularly relevant to like this situation? Like, this isn't about you. It isn't about your cousin. This is about Emma and what happened to her. Like, it comes off as so, and like, basically it was pointed at Emma of like almost blaming her for what happened to her cousin. It's like, you understand that, one, Emma didn't shoot anybody. Second, like, Emma certainly didn't shoot your cousin. Why are you almost blaming Emma for this? It comes off as very strange. And then, yeah. But then you add on the fact of like all the little stuff before it of just her being not a very nice person, of pushing her husband into telling this incredibly embarrassing story where he looks terrible, and like forcing him to do that. And then to do that saying, hey, if you don't tell the dog story, I'll tell it. Come on. If you tell it, I'll tell my most, the worst thing I've done. And so he was fine. I'll tell the story. And he clearly uncomfortable of like, we told this in confidence and like, agreed we'd never speak of it again. Like, we wouldn't tell anybody. And she's like, oh, come on. Like, ooh. She's like, she touched a nerve.
Why'd Mike marry that?
Yeah, I know. But then as soon as he's done, basically telling the story of how he used his ex-girlfriend as a human shield against a dog attack, gets to her, and she's like, oh, I can't do it. I can't tell the story. And he's like,
oh yeah.
Hell no. You're telling that story or I'm going to say it, and it's going to be like,
yeah.
Anyway. And then she comes out with an even worse story of not like where the husband did something very shameful in fear of his life. And, he from his
a lapse of judgment,
and ultimately an action of shame in a tense moment. He was scared, and so he did it. Not good, but more understandable. And she's like, yeah, I was bored one time, and so I just locked this slow kid, this mentally challenged kid in a closet.
Said he was slow.
You said
he was slow. I
love that. I love it so much.
Yeah.
But okay. And then when the father came around, like, he's gone overnight, locked in this closet. Father comes around saying, do you know where my son is? And no, I don't. Search party has to go out. It's like, he was eventually found. Holy shit.
It's pretty awful.
That's really awful. That's very bad.
If he'd passed away, she'd probably be in jail for life.
Yeah.
If not, for a long time. Yeah.
Despite her best efforts.
Yeah.
He lived.
Right. Yeah.
So.
And the fact that a character like that, right, she's forgiven herself or doesn't like look at her own internal morality and her own ethics and is so willing to judge
and
another
she said
person.
like, oh, I was young. I was, I was scared. I didn't know. Like, just to how unseriously she takes that.
The reason she's having this more performative morality in a way is because since her cousin that she's empathetic towards and loves was harmed by a mass shooter, she seems to be more angry at the fact that it affects her.
Yeah.
It affects her worldview and her ethics in that way, rather than it actually being something that was harmful to
someone else,
just a person.
It's
a selfish.
How dare
it's
you?
It's a selfish outrage. Yeah,
exactly. That's the real heart of it. It's like being upset someone was a mass shooter is not unreasonable.
No,
that's
very reasonable.
Which again, the husband, like everyone else, far more reasonable reaction. It was
the husband has an extremely like throughout the whole film is what should be happening.
But
for
Rachel
the most part,
doesn't ask any questions. No questions. Doesn't care. Doesn't care about context. Doesn't care about like what actually led to this, any details. It's just you thought and you almost did something that is personally, like, not that even it was awful, but that there's a personal connection to me. Like, she somehow took a very understandable position and made it incredibly selfish.
Yes.
Which, hey, good job for a character. Now, we did mention, I'll just mention it before, of like her husband, great guy, ultimately.
Oh, the biggest mistake he makes?
Biggest mistake is letting his wife take the mic for the maid of honor speech.
Oh, no. You don't give her the mic.
Don't give her the mic.
Skip over the speech. It's fine. The maid of honor speech, we can skip this one.
Yeah. Oh, God.
And these in the wedding itself, too, it's another message or a theme throughout of gossiping in general and how words spreads and what are people talking about you, because you see during the wedding itself, are they gossiping about the cheating? Are they gossiping about the fact that she almost committed mass shooting? Because when she's in the bathroom, she overhears the word shooting outside and she's going, oh my God, they're talking about it. What do we do? On my wedding day, this freaking out. And during the speech, one of the things that Charlie blurts out is just, can you all just stop gossiping? Just stop. Because when he goes to ask her out in the first place, when he's at the coffee shop, a scene we see is like all the people looking at him. Or in his head, they're looking at him and he's having this anxiety of how much does a person, when other people are gossiping or talking about you, how much it feels almost like social media in this way of just, oh my goodness, everyone's talking about you. You feel judged constantly. What's happening? You feel so uncomfortable. And this whole movie capitalizes on that as well. And still, I think going back to that end scene of the mass shooter being able to reset and forgive and move on, especially because
she understands what it's like to be incredibly regretful.
Yes.
Ultimately, a lot of forgiveness comes around of like, if you forgive someone, you have to believe that they truly regret their actions and they won't repeat it. To some degree, like, you have to believe that someone can change to forgive them.
It's a very selfless thing to forgive because you have to look at how perfect are you, right? How much wrongdoing have you done and how low have you gone? So for Rachel having this inability to forgive because she thinks very highly of herself. The way she forgives herself is like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Of like, other people are worse than me and judging. She's able to judge because she puts herself on this pedestal, whereas Emma's character, she's not on a pedestal. She genuinely seems to regret it and all of this. But that end thing with the two of them, this romance story that we have, it's this very uplifting feeling of the us against the world kind of thing, where literally their entire families and friend group, and they're not going to be socially ostracized or whatever the ramifications are of this, their lives are ruined in many ways. But her and him, these messed up people with this past now, and him a much more recent past, it's now this, not a Bonnie and Clyde sense of like they're going to go out doing crimes and stuff, but it's this feeling of at least we have each other and we're going to get through it in this weird, we're resetting. It's fine. We got this. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's also a very like it does the romance right. Oh my God, what much to think about.
There's the one final question. I'm gonna ask it.
Yeah.
We'll have your answer at the end of the video. After we go through the other categories. If your wife before her wedding day, what would you do in Charlie's situation?
Yep.
If Nicole revealed that she almost committed a school shooting.
The first thing I asked when I got back home last night was I said, Nicole, here's what the movie was about. What would you do if it was revealed that this was my past? What would your reaction be?
Let's save that to the end.
Save it to the end. But also, you got to up thought-provoking a little bit.
Yeah,
I think with how interesting that is to think about, because you gave it, what, 3.75?
3.75.
What are you thinking?
4.25.
At least a 4, right? I'm happy with that. All right.
Yeah.
All right, we want to go on to characters?
Characters.
5 stars for me. Floored me. I'm
Three-
riding this movie.
3.75.
Really good.
Really
Nice. So we talked a lot about the characters. So why are they irreplaceable? What are their flaws and all of that? What we can start with Emma.
Yeah.
And
Of the characters, she's the most irreplaceable. Of like nuance handled with her. Like she perfectly nailed. Definitely the most interesting character.
Oh my goodness. And her having seeing the flashbacks between her kid self and her older self was both eerie, interesting, and getting to see how much conviction she did have back then was also telling to see how far she had come today. So, for example, we mentioned earlier that she knew so much about one of the mass shootings in the first place, which got her to which got that other person thinking like, oh, she's clearly a gun activist. But she also in the past had said or was saying about the mass shooting that happened that day that prevented her of, oh, only 3 people died. You need to kill at least 4 people to be a mass shooting. You see how much through just the lines and dialogue she said, how real this was for her. And all of her character traits of her ear being shot, her ear being deaf from now on because of the shooting, all comes back to this traumatic moment in her life that could have been traumatic for other people. So her childhood's very clear. It's seeing how she was the awkward, quote unquote, ugly kid and treated this poorly. And I like how before this moment, this movie does a great job at showing us before the big reveal of her with her friends of saying, hey, she's 28 and in love for the first time or a crush for the first time. And they're like, what, 28? She goes, yeah, it was like I was just more of an awkward, ugly kid. And they don't believe her. And because she's 30 now and this person's her first love, well, we see that this is all very real to her. This is her first time because she was like this as a child. So it sets up her past really well. And also it does a great job with her relationship with her parents through the little bit of glimpses we get with them of she was raised in you see the room she's in a nice house, a very kind family. It seems the father seems great when he's giving his speech at the wedding. He's giving the speech and saying through his eyes, you see how he sees that she's his little angel, because he's explaining that she had look at these fun moments she used to perform for us and play the farmer in the living room, and then she became a gun activist, and surprisingly my gun disappeared because he's thinking in his head, look at his daughter who is such a gun activist that she threw away her dad's rifle. And he's like, look at that. When in reality, she did it to go, oh my God, I was about to commit the mass shooting. I'm going to throw this away.
Yeah.
Now.
And thing is, she did. She became like,
she did.
Part of it is the gun activist of going like, she doesn't like guns anymore. So she threw. Yep. Now, part of that is also her throwing away basically all the evidence of what she was about to do. Like she throws away the camera and it's trying to get rid of the evidence. But yeah, it's how much do you believe is her change genuine in the sense of she does truly believe this stuff, or does she only change because she's finally accepted by someone?
Right.
Oh, but yeah, what a dark moment, because we get to see her throw away the gun in the lake and her dad thinking it was just purely because she's a gun activist. Yeah. Oof.
She's all I was rooting for her and Charlie too. But even before the reveal happens, they had a genuine connection. They seemed to complement each other a lot. She seemed fun to be around. I was going, man, this is a great person. I was so behind going, oh, look at this perfect rom-com-esque couple where she puts him out of his comfort zone by the first scene we get introduced to her, where he walks up and is talking into her deaf ear. She goes, oh, do you want to do that again? Again, going back to the motif of resetting, of like, hey, let's restart. Literally the first time they meet, she allows him. Oh, that's beautiful. I didn't even think about that till now. Oh, I love that. Of him coming up, and she goes, no, restart. Let's do that again.
Empathetic of like, again, she's in his position.
That's
going
so
like,
good.
Hey, give you another chance. Of like,
that's so good. Oh,
allowing someone else to reset and understand. Like, she could tell how awkward he feels. Like, I'm so sorry. It's just like, hey, it's all right.
It's all right. Let's
try it.
Try
Pause. Try it again.
Damn. Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I love that about her. She's this, totally a realized character. Does a fantastic job. But yeah, anything else with Emma? I know we talked about her a little bit, but anything else that drew you to her character that was interesting?
I will mention the difference between this character and often the characters that Zendaya plays is like Zendaya will often play the snarky kind of character. This was definitely not that. Awkward, certainly, sometimes, but far more normal and nuanced than normal. So that's just the thing I liked that
Definitely
Zendaya
agree.
was changing.
Definitely agree.
But let's move on to
Charlie?
Charlie.
All right. You want to start? Yeah.
Yeah. I think really well realized character. I think as far as the character goes, interesting, but more replaceable than Emma. I think one to some degree, I think he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be the audience insert in the sense of the audience is supposed to ask the question, what would I do? Would I forgive my significant other? But no, Charlie is definitely, he's set up as a very awkward character. He overthinks things. He's very anxious, a very anxious personality type. And that's well established. I will say personally, I think it's not really the character that makes Charlie, it's Robert Pattinson's performance.
His performance is awesome.
His performance and what he does with this role is elevated beyond what is written on the page for him.
I do love his character arc, and so who is he as a person? He's an anxious person. We see in the first scene where, as he's approaching Zendaya, how awkward he is. He's looking up the book beforehand. He sees the coffee shop, the barista's looking at him, and he feels all uncomfortable. And that comes back in the end when he's giving the wedding speech. But you see this very innocent guy. The cyberbullying's the worst thing he ever did, to then have the worst moment of his life be on his wedding night, and his arc being going from goody two shoes to having this anti-arc in a way of him driving himself insane in a lot of the ways, because he goes through such lengths to justify why he would be with Emma. So at every opportunity he has, you see him defending her, but awfully, and also lying for her on her behalf. I like in the scene where he is talking with the person he ends up cheating on her with, of basically saying like, oh, what if what if your boyfriend in this case saw something super traumatic like a car accident, and it was so traumatic, like that's the reason they did this. Doesn't that build empathy or something? And that's still not enough. And the lengths he's willing to go through to self-justify was great. But his arc going from the one who is trying to forgive, the one to needing to be forgiven, fantastic. And on top of it, so I also like him being British as well. In this case, like looking at American culture from the outside a little bit was also a great touch to the character, of like him being more unfamiliar with this, of him just trying to justify it in that way, of going, well, this is an American thing, and this is every single layer of his character added to that forgiveness arc from her. So I think as a duo, they were fantastic to watch and had the perfect chemistry as well. What did you think too of the like them as a couple, right? Them as a couple before getting the reveal. Were you also just rooting for them and had did such a good job at that? I thought.
No, they did. They clearly had so much chemistry together.
Yeah.
So it definitely worked really well.
Anything else for the couple, or do you want to move on to our side characters?
Let's move on to the side characters.
All right, Mike and Rachel. Best man, Mike.
Mike's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
He's a generally good bloke.
Yep.
Can't. There's not too much to knock against him, except for the giving his wife the mic during the wedding. Not the best.
Yeah.
We already talked about Rachel just being somehow made this whole thing about her, and she's just an awful person.
Yes.
Or she's such a maybe awful's even the wrong word to say. She's just a very selfish person.
Yeah, selfish.
That's the right word. So.
Oh, and the great parts about these side characters too, why they come to life for me, is through their actions you find out more about who they are. Right? You don't have to be told what is Rachel like. So, for example, when they're in that couch scene where where Robert Pattinson does that, no, you said she was slow, right? That moment, she talks about how, hey, my husband grew up around guns. Like he knows guns, or like that's what she said, right? It was like he grew up around guns.
He grew up around guns, and
and-
he also really doesn't like, and he's scared of guns, and he was like,
Mike's like, that's not the case at all.
one,
What are you talking about?
didn't grow up around guns, like,
Yeah.
and I'm also not scared of guns. Like,
Mhm.
you just don't know anything.
And through that moment shows the person that she supposedly loves the most in life, her husband, got a fact so wrong about his past. Just shows more of her selfishness of how do you not know your partner that well?
Yeah.
It's just a small moment reveal of that makes the conversation more awkward and some funniness to it, but adds to the fact that look at who she is.
Mhm.
You find out more about who she is by how she reacts and treats her own husband, and how she immediately treats treats Emma with this reveal. The entire dinner, the scene where they're wine tasting, is so well done to see how the four of them are as characters
Mhm.
and how they're going to react for the rest of the movie, where Rachel's clearly just bombastically against her. Mike is really uncomfortable and going like, hey, his wife is having this reaction, and is like there for his wife, but also like looking out for his best, the groom's his best friend as well. So there's that dynamic going on. Great reveal scene, great dialogue scene in general. What did you think about the other side characters, like the little snippets we got from the DJ character, who like both DJs, I guess. Anything with others?
The first DJ one, just I think our DJ was just smoking crack on the corner.
Heroin, yeah.
And but I'm pretty sure it was just crack. It was crack, not
Heroin.
I mean crack.
Yeah.
Heroin.
Yeah. I don't know the difference, but heroin. Yeah.
I think it's mainly how it's consumed, because it's like
They said heroin.
smoking something out of heroin's injection. Us innocent baby angels, us. So
Yeah.
very innocent. We don't do the drugs. No, we do not. Pretty sure it's crack, because it was smoking from like a tinfoil ball. Like you get a ball of it.
Gotcha.
It's more hard. And
They
then
were
heroin injection.
But they were saying heroin throughout the movie.
Oh, well, I think it's the same. It's just different form. Beside the point. Anyway, she's smoking that, and then they're going like, we just gotta let it go. Like, we want one.
That's what sparks the conversation.
Yeah, it sparks the conversation. Emma's like, hey, I don't want to like let this one thing define her. Like, and you go, okay. And the weird thing is, I'm having the internal thought of the reason why to fire the DJ is not, oh, she did terrible thing. It's more, I have lost some confidence in your ability to perform the job.
Mhm.
That's my concern of like, I don't want you, high on crack when you're playing my show. I don't want you high when you're on our wedding. Like, that's what I would say.
Yeah.
But the rest of them are all, that's not their first thought. I don't even think it's a thought at all. It's more, oh, she's, terrible. She's a terrible person. We need to like distance ourselves. We need to fire her and get rid of her. And like that.
Well, they're even asking the question, should you? Is that bad enough to do? Like, what's the line, right?
Yeah, it's like, hey, she's not hurting anyone else. She's hurting herself. It's not good, but also, is she harming anyone else?
I really enjoyed in that scene with Emma and Charlie going up to talk to her about this, and something that tells us more about Emma's character and why she's so consistent and real is when they're confronting her about the heroin and the reason that they cut ties and say, hey, you're fired, get out of here. It's not the fact that she did heroin was the issue. It was the fact that she's lying about the fact she didn't do heroin. Like they were going up to comfortably, hey, we saw you do this, and I don't know, it seemed like they were going in there with maybe the intention to fire her or just have the conversation, but the way it went over the line was she was then lying about not doing heroin, called her a cunt and all this stuff. But going back to Emma's character, it seemed more the issue at that moment was the person's doing something and not being regretful or asking for forgiveness or looking for, seeming like having self-reflection which she had clearly done in the past and others. That's the thing that the movie's consistently going back to thematically is, hey, are you sorry for what you've done? Are you going to own up to what you have done? And that scene shows it again. If it's not even the heroine, it's just the fact, no, own up to it.
Yeah.
I saw you doing it. And that's what gets her so angry, is when somebody's not willing to do that.
I also saw it more of Emma was on the DJ side originally, but because Charlie was really uncomfortable with it and didn't want it, and she's like, she didn't want to fire the DJ, but because Charlie's uncomfortable, she's going like, all right, let's do it. She's Team Charlie, and she's willing to do that for him, and so at this point, Charlie just doesn't care. Like, let's just leave it alone. There's other things to worry about. We don't. This doesn't matter. I'm dealing with other stuff right now, please. And so, but she's like, no, you wanted to fire, like, let's do it. And so I think a lot of it, she's doing that for him, not necessarily what she wants to do. But yeah, you're right.
That's fair too.
She jumps on it when the DJ lies.
Yeah. And the new DJ should have brought up before. I mean, he's just a side character, but a funny side character where he shows up during all this tense stuff that's happening, and he's just talking about DJ equipment. He's like, hey, I don't know the exact terms for the equipment that he brought up, but I've got like my boombox machine, and hey, it's really funny about the boombox machine. It's like, it does this, and he's just completely oblivious to everything happening around. So hit the juxtaposition there with him saying all this, like, dude, just perform the DJ stuff. We got shit going on. Just do the thing. He's like, hey, so you know the worst thing about being a DJ?
The worst thing a DJ can do.
Do you know the worst thing?
And then they're both like, I don't know, do crack?
Not show up.
Not show up.
Funny side character. And also I really enjoyed the person Charlie cheated, the coworker he cheated on with, of what she brought to the story of her being a serial cheater, of her past being the worst thing she'd ever done was cheating. And again, that being something that in comparison looks so small, right? So it's so funny how that looks so small. So maybe this movie in a way is looking at the end of,
she's the serial cheater, and I still dislike Rachel more than her.
Oh yeah.
There's, like, hey, serial cheater, but other than that, I know. Yeah. I know how to clip that. I get that. Yeah. But she seemed genuinely empathetic to Charlie, is fairly open as a person and trying to comfort him. Like,
yeah,
in general, seems okay. Like, somewhat decent, somewhat empathetic to others. But then, serial cheater, not great.
The interesting thing with her,
she also tells her boyfriend, like, hey, he kissed me. Conveniently leaves out that, like, as soon as that kiss happened, like, she dropped her pants immediately.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
but before
there was more to that story that you decided to leave out.
But before that moment too, it's interesting how when she's talking about how she cheated on her boyfriend, she explains that, oh, my boyfriend was super kind to me. He's great to me. Sex wasn't as good, so I went to the new guy. He treated me like an asshole, but the sex was good.
Yeah.
Just being flat out about that. There was some wholesomeness to the honesty and that's another theme that put this back in thought provoking, but transparency, right?
She's very self-aware.
Yeah. How transparent should you be in a relationship or just in general of when you let your guards down and say everything about you? How accepting are people, right? Of the cheater saying that, or literally Emma and her past talking about this mass shooting coming up. Just transparency in general and the consequences of full honesty.
Oh yeah, in general, there's such thing as like inside thoughts.
Yeah,
you don't need like. Honestly, one of the worst things of the internet is seeing people like project their thoughts and going like, you couldn't have tortured that story out of me.
Oh yeah.
Why are you voluntarily telling this information is beyond me.
Especially on the internet.
Like, oh my God. Like,
at least Emma's telling her closest friends, and she was drunk as well. And yeah.
I mean, the coworker that she like, one that's also like coworker. I don't know if you tell your like, hey, what's the worst thing you've ever done? Like, weird question to ask. to a coworker, but then to actually admit to cheat, like that's a little open.
Well,
for
she's
coworkers
also
with.
probably maybe wants to be known like that. So hey, she's an option. Who knows? I don't.
knows?
Who knows what that character's thinking? Other than when, the cheating scene does happen between the two of them. He clearly approaches her and kisses her wrongly, and then it's like clockwork to her. She's like, "All right, I know what to do here," because she cheated in the past. And when she's explaining it to her boyfriend, the boyfriend is like, "You sexually harassed my," which. He did go for it. He did do that. But then also her being willing after the fact, being willing is like, oh, okay. This is clearly something that she's hasn't learned from the serial cheating as well. But it was another of how transparent should you be, how honest are you with yourself, all that stuff with the side character. Anything else?
The rest are fine. Yeah, in general.
Want to go into plots?
Plots.
5 stars. Floored me.
4.25. Really great.
Yes. So for our A and B plots here, our overarching one is the reveal itself of can you get over this? Can you forgive and get over this relationship trauma of the wedding? Do they actually have the wedding? Mm-hmm. That's the core back and forth between the two of them. And then underneath that, we have the cheating side plot with him and him and Rachel. And that's primarily, we have the large A plot. That's the driving force of the film.
Yeah, there's not really a B plot. There's just that.
Yeah.
Which I like. I like a nice, good, focused plot.
Yeah, why was it really great to you?
Oh. I will say the things that really made it a great plot for me is the changing of perspective and sides. Or like you're on... At least my experience in the movie was I was immediately empathetic to Emma, of like I'm horrified, but also asking like I see Rachel and how her reaction and seeing how upset Emma is. And I'm asking the questions like, what led her to that? Like what happened? Like thank God she didn't. Like she turned her life around. Like there's a different conversation here of like. Did this happen last week? Did this happen years ago and she ultimately changed her life? Mm-hmm. Okay. Like that's a factor. So I'm on her side a little bit more and I'm empathetic to her. And then you see the backstory of like how performative it ultimately was, of like there wasn't any like real deep trauma behind it. It just was a thing to her. It was just a new identity to her. And it's like, oh Lord, like it's a pretty rough thing to be swayed by the aesthetics for.
Yeah.
So then you start questioning it. You're with Charlie on it. Then you're against Charlie because he cheated. So that was
great back and forth.
Great back and forth for me.
And the plot uses flashbacks a lot to give you.
Mm-hmm.
Now it uses flashbacks great in the first 20 minutes of the film where it's him writing his wedding speech about her and saying it to his best man. And as he's writing it, it's flashing back to, hey, how did they meet? Their first kiss moment where they walked into this museum and he was going to swipe them in the museum. It was going to be like a nice little, it was going to be a date with a little risque date. And
added detail there of it was so when Emma's telling the story of their first kiss, Rachel's immediate reaction is like, he entrapped you?
Yeah, it was a great little moment to show who she is again. Yep.
Yeah, it's just like, my God, you can only take it the worst way. Like, where
see the worst in people.
Yeah.
Versus
Emma going, no, like clearly the key card worked on one door and then got locked out of the second one. Like we got trapped. Like you can clearly tell it's not him like trapping her.
Yes. And that was a great first kiss moment that they went over. So you see it fast tracks the rom-com and goes, okay, this is why they're so in love. And it shows her pulling down the pants again. How do they resolve arguments? All that kind of stuff happens. So it shows the flashbacks well in that first part to get you caught up to speed and care for them. And then it uses that same not archetype. What am I looking for? Plot tool. It uses the same plot tool to then later give the flashbacks between Emma today and Emma that was a kid, where sometimes what the film does is have the line that she's saying is coming from her kid mouth.
Yeah.
And instead of coming from her mouth, it transposes the two of them really well and uses it in that sense. So what did you think of the use of flashbacks as well? Did you like how that was balanced?
Very good use of flashbacks. Tangentially related is also the false flash forwards of you see what the character thinks someone else is saying. Of one of the early ones is after Emma reveals that she almost, after the wine tasting, she thinks she sees Charlie is out.
Yep.
And there's a flash scene of Charlie with the best man said, like, you got to get out of here. Like, I'm not letting you marry some psycho. And then starts going above and beyond. And the best man's going, don't worry, like, just get on a plane, go to England. I'll beat her up if necessary. I'll beat
her up if necessary.
And you just go like, this
can't be real, right?
This can't be real. It isn't. It's so you get to see through these characters what they think is currently happening, or they think someone's talking about them. And a good use of false reality scenes. And it was the right level of confusing.
Yes.
Like I start questioning, and then by the end of it, I go, oh, okay, that was not real.
Yes, that makes sense now. I gotta say, this whole movie makes, if anybody's wedding planning or has had a wedding in the past, makes your wedding look like it was flawless. I'm like, I would rather be every other person in the world other than these two on their wedding night.
Yeah.
It's this catharsis feeling. Thank God I'm not them. Wow, this is fantastic. And with it was funny too, because seeing all the steps that you take in marriage, like, you're doing your dance routine, you're getting your wine tasting, you're doing your photo shoot, like flashback to Nicole and I'm going like, oh, I hated doing all that. Not hated, it's just like the whole process of how expensive weddings are, but then how you need to make sure every detail is right. And knowing in this film how it just builds anxiety of how everything's going to collapse and go wrong. Another thing that we talked about this scene, the transition with, hey, we're going to shoot you, then that uncomfortable tension, does a great job at using the wedding and the build up and the things you need to do before a wedding to add to the tension of what's going on in the relationship. So if there's any A-B plot, right, or if there's any back and forth, it's them in private going through this versus them in public having to navigate what do they actually do, and do they look like an actual real couple when they're going through all these steps in the wedding. Does that amazing too. And if anything as well, I like how the Chekhov guns in this, or the bringing the plot points back in a full circle at the end, is all done top notch. For example, with them mentioning early on, like, hey, you know what happens after the best actor actress wins their Oscars, they go to like a burger joint and they're all in their suits and it's all romantic, right? Well, what do they do in the end other than they're in their suits, and that's where they have this forgiveness moment in the end. Or Chekhov's gone with like the whole speech that he's planning and nervous about and trying to get it exactly right is the thing he gets exactly wrong in the end of building up to that. Everything pays off. Everything promised pays off, and it does a great job. Every detail is utilized in the film. That's brilliant. Like, for example, I know it's not a small thing because it's a big part about the movie, but her being deaf isn't just, oh, she's just deaf, right? It's clearly, like, it adds to the drama and the emotional moment that was once romantic, of whispering, hey, I love you, maybe for the first time, or saying, I can't wait to marry you, and all these things that she doesn't hear. And it's a funny moment. She goes, what about hairy knives?
Yeah.
Hairy knives isn't a thing. What do you mean? Him saying that to her, being romantic, and now in hindsight, being the trauma of their relationship of why she's deaf, and it's going to remind him of that. Or whether it's him throwing out the coffee mug that has the shoot first, coffee later, because that reminds him of it. Every detail that could possibly happen adds to the tension, makes this brilliant film. Okay, sorry, I'm talking your ear off. Anything that plot you want to cut me off? Cut me off. What do you have? Plot stuff. Don't let me just babble. Yeah. Anything else?
You babbled through most of it. Yeah, I mean, just saying. No,
any type of trope or something that was interestingly used, or
to me, the false reality stuff was handled really well. That's the thing I really enjoyed from this movie. As far as shots going, how it handled big crowd scenes was impressive. Like, so the wedding and seeing people's perspectives and
Yeah.
like looking at across the crowd, zeroing in on different people. I thought that was really well done and how that was filmed.
Oh,
So
do you want to talk filmmaking now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What'd you give filmmaking out of? Bless you. Bless you. Bless you.
Ugh.
What'd you give filmmaking out of 5 stars?
3.5. Good.
4.5. Spectacular. Yeah.
I should probably bump mine up a little bit. I'm thinking about it. I'm
Some good shots there. Yeah. Interesting editing.
a 4.0. I'll
There you go. Great. Yeah.
readjust here.
So what'd you think? You're talking about the scenes of zoning in on the gossiping or the other people's faces.
I particularly liked gossip scenes and anxiety. So when Charlie is becoming very anxious, how the camera moves around and shows people looking at him.
Mm-hmm.
And when characters are like questioning, oh, is someone talking about me? And like zeroing in on like character like Rachel and in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
I liked how it handled crowd scenes personally.
Yeah, that was great. That was
yeah.
very well done.
So other than that though, so the flashbacks handled well, parallel realities, and
the use of using the motif again of the shooting, and then the photography, like hearing the bang of the photography sounding like a gun, or the DJ when the speech is happening and he's talking and the father is talking about the gun, and you hear the DJ boom in the background,
and everyone is just like,
what happened?
Yeah.
Jeez. You even get a little bit of a false flash forward of at the wedding, everybody massacred.
Yeah.
As well, that moment. But this does do a great job at zoning in on the gossip scenes or having really sharp if there's something this does best, because when we're talking filmmaking, it's how mesmerized and how much the director utilize. There's sound, music, editing, the shots, composition, lighting, all the things that would make up a film. I think the editing is one of the best parts, and like the use of sound in this movie, because it adds to how tense it is, and the cuts made in the usage of the props or the scene that you would expect in a wedding scenario adds to the film.
Yeah. Oh, it's incredibly clean cut.
Yeah.
There's no fluff on this movie. It's definitely. I can't think of a scene that you would really want to remove from here, or even what you need to add. So,
yeah, wow,
clean cut of a movie.
Looks good as well, and I like the set design too of the wedding. Though, here's one thing that I was questioning. I don't know if this is the case, but when putting together a table at a wedding, the options I was aware of is either the honeymoon or the honeymoon table, whatever. That's what Nicole and I did. The table with just the bride and groom, or the table with the wedding party, right? Like a long table with the wedding party. I hadn't seen before a table with the parents. Is that a thing? I'm
somewhat.
I was just curious. Yeah, maybe that's a more fancy thing that
I've mostly seen the like the wedding table party and then the big long table with the entire wedding party.
Yes.
You do, and then there's normally a table with like family, the immediate family table.
Yeah. But on the same table, I hadn't.
No,
I'm sure that's a thing. Yeah,
I'm sure too. But yeah, I don't see it as often, at least. Other little things I was questioning is asking. They're in New York City, right? Or where are they?
I think so. Yeah. I could be wrong. But I didn't pay attention to that too much.
He is a museum curator, right?
So?
Okay, decently high position.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think massive, but then she works at some type of, not library, but something to do with archives and books of some sort.
Sure.
Did you see their apartment?
Nice apartment. Yeah.
Very nice.
Did you see their wedding?
Yeah.
Yeah. They got money. He must be like the owner of the museum or something. He's got
something's happened.
He's got a high position.
What is he? What are they doing?
Maybe it's not
even if they made collectively $300,000 a year. I don't. Let's be nice. 400. They're each making $200,000 a year. I don't know if that. How could you afford that lifestyle?
Maybe his parents too. Yeah,
maybe. But yeah,
Maybe, yeah.
What I loved their apartment.
Yeah.
Or condo, whatever. Like
Yes.
that aesthetic right there is
Yeah.
my aesthetic. That's what I aspire to. That
And
is
knowing
it.
you can't, that neither of us could afford it.
Yeah.
Even if we were to combine incomes.
Yes.
And then
yeah.
go, wow, we still can't afford this. Wow.
Yep.
That sucks.
I can afford many Billy bookcases that I poorly painted. God. Yeah, these things are not surviving a move.
No, they're going to be great. It's going to be great.
I am tempted of like, I'm going to do a test build this weekend, and it's either, if that goes well and I can make it affordable, I'll build new bookcases. If I can't, I will maybe even just cover this with like wallpaper. Like I will cheap out, and I don't know.
Well, depending on how it goes this weekend, you'll see if you commit.
Do I commit to the aesthetic that I desire, or do I cheap out?
Okay. The new aesthetic does look good though, with the iron pipes and that. So
yeah.
But also, this is already done for the most part. You just would have to do a little bit of tampering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well.
What else were we saying with filmmaking? There was where'd that tangent go off of? It was the flash forwarding. It was the flash backing, right?
The aesthetics and how the
aesthetics,
how the film looked.
Right. The wedding scene itself. Those were the question came from. Okay. Anything else for that, or do you want to go on to the
dialogue and acting?
What'd you give it?
Great.
4 stars.
4 stars.
Okay, 5 stars floored me. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Both Zendaya and Robert Pattinson did an amazing job, and everyone else did good. So
yeah, the 2 leads here. It was Robert Pattinson's my favorite performance of his that I've seen. Zendaya's, it's one of 2 of my favorite performances of her. That being Challengers, the other movie. Their ability to a couple, I guess, with the bigger acting scenes for Pattinson was him crashing out moment, but before the second crashing out at the wedding, but him crashing out in the room with Rachel, that intensity, their ability to be funny. Zendaya, her acting was very impressive. I guess the emotive, her ability to cry, but then also look like she's genuinely asking for forgiveness, but at the same time is having the similar anxiety that Robert Pattinson's having of like, are people gossiping about her? What's this going to be like? You see the older version of her seeing how this is her worst nightmare, and like the young, awkward version of hers coming out in little bits and pieces, because she does a good job at showing how she has totally changed. Like, this is a new person. She seems different from her as a kid, yet the anxiety and the bad thing about this is it's reminding her of that 14-year-old kid she was when she was isolated and awkward.
Mm-hmm.
And she was trying to push that back the whole time. Like, that's not who I am. Can we just stop talking about this? And she's so adamant. Can we just move on, please? Like, she's begging at this point of, they talked about it, they went over it. And you also see the cope. Oh, the great part about her acting, the cope of, as Robert Pattinson is clearly still not over this and still concerned, she's trying to pretend like they've moved on. Having the scene on the couch or just when they're out and about is consistently just going, yeah, we've talked about this, we're over it, and trying to convince herself that it's okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the false cope. Oh, so much about this is great. Yeah. I loved the side characters like Rachel. Just I hated her facial expressions. So good. And also the dialogue of this movie too elevates it a lot. Besides the acting performances, it's the dialogue's both funny on point and makes the movie uncomfortable because of how witty some of the lines are, or the double entendres of this, of like when a character's saying something, that kid scene where the kid misinterprets what Zendaya's younger character is saying,
Mm-hmm.
of that meaning one thing to each of them, so that the movie does a good job at showing, hey, we hear the line of dialogue, but it has multiple meanings. It has one meaning to this character, another to this character, because we have all the information. So it does that as well. Oh, but the best acting scene is the when they're wine tasting, of course. The wine tasting of all 4 of them there, the actual reveal.
Oh, yeah, just in general.
The lines of you see the justifications being used, the lines of caution, but then also the facial reactions of each of them, and you see how uncomfortable Zendaya's acting is the whole time. If she does not want to say her piece, and you see how it slips. She's like, she feels comfortable. She's had enough wine. They've said some bad things about themselves. She wants to play a fair game.
Well, how much of it may be a relief of like she's kind of held this in. It's this her darkest secret, and this is the moment of like, hey, everyone else shared some pretty bad stuff of like, like about themselves. Like, okay, this is maybe the opportunity to, you know, release the burden and you know, be open and honest.
Yep.
And yeah, maybe a reveal that should only be left to the husband, not the friends, not open.
Yeah, ideally that's what made it worse, but
yeah, and also maybe not 2 days before the wedding. That's probably a nugget that needs to come out. Not on the third date, but like somewhere.
Yeah, that's
somewhere between third date and wedding.
Yeah.
Probably is a relevant thing to bring up.
That's fair. But the thing is too, if that didn't happen, would it have ever come up? You know?
Yeah.
That's another interesting thing. It's not like she revealed that completely.
Do you think she would be do you think she is obligated to bring that up to a future partner?
That portion?
Yeah.
I guess that
should she?
Is
should
this,
she have
is
brought
this
it
back
up?
to the conversation? Like, what if that was Nicole, or what if?
Yep, we're bringing it back to that ending question.
I think privately with your significant other, I think yes.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, things because that's part of who you are. At least explain, like marrying the full picture of like who you were as well. So I would say yes.
Is there anything that does need to be like, hey, you're not obligated to share that with your significant other of like something that you just don't want to share about yourself? Is there anything?
The way I view relationship in general and a marriage, I would say there's pretty much nothing that I can think, like even something like that to reveal of, because the marriage to me is becoming one of, you're not marrying 99% of the person, it's 100% of the person. So all flaws and all benefits. It's something that's a little beautiful about this movie is the fact that they're resetting and restarting together. It's us against the world of we know each other's worst and lowest. Let's face the world as a unit, as we're together in this. It's very
What's that? The Jim Carrey movie.
Which one?
Eternal Sunshine
of the Spotless Mind. Oh, phenomenal.
Similar
movie.
of like, now that we know the worst, we can reset.
Yep.
Cool message. Yeah, but ultimately, what would you do if Nicole said that she almost committed a mass shooting?
Right. And this is before the wedding's happening.
Before the wedding.
Week, I would react much in the same way as Robert Pattinson did. I think that's why the movie was so believable as well, because it's trying to cope and justify, talk to other people. Like not say that this happened. I'm like, try to bring it up like, what if somebody revealed this, and try to bounce information off. Because what this movie emphasized, before I give my full answer, but what the movie emphasizes is an extreme and exaggerated point, which movies should do, to something that actually happens in relationships where something's revealed about your past at a certain point. And it's not like, hey, I need to have a conversation about this thing. Sometimes there is that, where there's something you've done, but usually you just find out more about the person as things come up, and it's, okay, something happens in your life or in their life that you talk about. And certainly with Nicole and I, it's like, we've had something come up. It's like, hey, this happened in the past. Like, I cyberbullied Rich for my entire life. And I actually never admitted to him that I was his high school bully.
You need to get me low enough in self-esteem to actually start a podcast.
And
that's
yes, exactly. And he's the slow kid that was trapped in the closet. Sorry, low blow. But you said she was. I still get.
She was slow.
Oh, that's the best.
That's
the best acting moment, by the way. If we're in dialogue and acting, you said she was slow. It's the chop for me. It's the chop.
It's the chop and the look away. I'm like,
oh yeah. You said she was slow. You said she was slow.
You said she was slow.
That's the moment. But yeah, there's stuff that obviously comes up with it, and it asks you the question in a relationship of, hey, people have dealt with this, so what would you be willing to forgive? So I would react the same way as Pattinson, of coping through it. And then I think it would be the same answer as like, hey, if Nicole was, I guess, like Zendaya's character, truly 100% I would had 100%. I had to have 100% certainty though. That's the you can't have 99% certainty. If I was
Yeah.
convinced to 100% certainty that's the case, I think I could. But even saying that's weird, you know. This is why the movie is really thought provoking to me and makes me think about this, is because to the movie's point, I think I could. I'd like to hope maybe I could. I am a good enough forgiver, or like that to do it. The movie emphasized like that's a good quality to me, forgiveness. And if you're able to forgive over something that heinous, however, here's the thing: that this is why the movie's uncomfortable, because then what if, obviously, what if somebody actually did this, like literally did the thing, and they're so sorry for it, but they're behind bars, right?
Yeah.
It's like I couldn't forgive that. So that's the same thing. It's
Blind forgiveness is not a virtue.
Yeah.
Forgiveness requires remorse, a genuine remorse, and the actual effort to not do it again.
Right.
You do have to have that. Like, there's the moment where forgiveness is not accepted is you believe, like, no, I think you'll do it again, and I don't think you actually feel remorse.
Sorry, yeah.
I don't think you are sorry, and at the very least, you're not sorry enough to change.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, like, forgiveness shouldn't be accepted.
Right.
And so that's the virtue is, like, when you do believe it, then you do accept forgiveness. But that is a difference.
You've seen a lot of cases. I know there's one in Australia where this family's kids, I think 3 or 4 of their 5 children were ran over by a drunk driver, and the father, it made national news by going and genuinely forgiving the drunk driver, of like meeting him every week. They became almost like friendly pen pals in this way. Of he's very religious and I think Catholic or Christian. He's definitely Christian, and like was showing this virtue of forgiveness for somebody who did something so wrong that's sorry about it. And you see Pope John Paul II when there was an attempted murder on Pope John Paul II and was shot. He went and talked with the person, like forgave him, and had this private conversation with the potential murderer. So it's this whole virtue that's brought around of, you know, how hard it is to forgive when it's necessary or needed in those right situations. Which, could I ever forgive someone for killing my 3 or 4 of my kids? I genuinely don't. I don't think I could. I don't think I could. However, there's stories like this and movies like this that make me question and go, maybe that's the right thing to do. Or it's a very difficult question. Like, what do you think about that? Of what is what if someone actually did the heinous act, and even if they're sorry about it, like let's say they're fully and you 100% know that they regret doing it, but they still did it. It's a very hard question.
There's something very personal about forgiveness in the sense of, I don't want to hold on to that anger and hate and going like, and moving forward, like, I forgive you and moving on. Like, there's a healthiness to that. However, forgiveness does not negate justice. And so if, someone ran over, my child in a drunk driving accident, maybe I could forgive them. Like, I can see like that being virtuous. I probably wouldn't, but where it goes too far of like toxic empathy is when you go them trying to advocate for their release and things like that. It's like, no, you need to serve. You need to serve time.
Well,
like, there needs to be justice.
With the father, I think the drunk driver had been in prison for over a decade or coming on 2 decades, and he's advocating for the release because he feels that justice has been served, and this person fully understands it, and they've come to God as well, and is genuinely sorry for all. And again, he believes with 100% certainty that this is the case.
Yeah.
So,
and maybe 2 decades is enough. Like, I don't know what the right amount is.
Whatever feels right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I just wanted to clarify, like, forgiveness itself is not a virtue. Like, just willy-nilly forgiveness and like, just let people, I don't think blind forgiveness is very good. But
even like, say patience is a virtue. Like, yes, patience is a virtue, but if you have patience for somebody that's bludgeoning somebody to death over there, like, oh, it's patient, they'll stop eventually. Like, everything can be twisted.
Yeah.
Every virtue can turn into a vice in some extreme. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and just how justice is, justice is mercy for the soul
Mm.
type of deal. Of like, I at least that's where I kind of lean on. But
Well, what about for
yeah.
you if that happened? Of you're about to get married, knew someone for 2 years, and then boom, that's revealed.
Again, you're right. Robert Pattinson's like mostly the correct reaction of, okay, I need to know more. I need to understand how you got here, and more importantly, how the hell you stop. Why did you stop? What happened? And do I think it'll ever happen again? I am at least far more forgiving of someone's thoughts than someone's actions.
Mm.
Like,
What about the actions where she literally was step by step?
I still think that's thoughts. That's
Still
planning.
didn't act. Okay, got it.
Action by like you did harm to another, like you did the thing that harmed another person. Like that's action. Like,
What about
to me.
intention?
Yeah,
Yeah,
intention. Like
she had the full intention to do it as well.
intention, thoughts, all of that is important.
Mm.
Where I would need to forgive someone, it's more of what did you do to someone else? What did you do?
Mm.
And so I would be a little bit more forgiving in the sense of, okay, that's a terrible thing that you almost did. Why didn't you do it? And what changed? And I would probably be able to move past it, I think.
Compare that to, like, let's say somebody had no intention of causing harm, but as they were driving, and let's say it's murky of who actually, like, if the kids crossed the road or the car did, of what happened, but ran over the 3 kids. It wasn't a drunk driver, so there wasn't any impairment, but it was like an unintentional as they were driving. Let's even say there was some wrongdoing of, like, they were looking at their phone, glanced down for a second. So there's like fault. How morally culpable is that person? Just they fully intended not to do it. However, the action and result is 3 children dead. And compare that to the full intention to commit mass shooting but doesn't do it. How are those two squared?
Intent. Yeah, you're right. I mean, forgiveness is far more. I think intent matters more for their character, of like who they are.
Who they are as a person.
Forgiveness really is only given to like what'd you do. Because like if you didn't do anything, ultimately you intended something bad, but you didn't do it. What's really there to forgive? Like I don't need to forgive you. That's the wrong word, at least. Like I'm gonna question your character, but I don't need to forgive you. Like I don't know. For some I see just it's weird to like ask forgiveness for thoughts and intentions, like, but ultimately not action. At least how I'm seeing it.
Doesn't make you think
drunk.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, hey,
Say
someone
the phone
actually
thing,
caused harm versus someone who intended harm.
And it's the whole
Who's
thing.
worse?
It's the whole thing. Our court system of why, like, intentions are a part of it. Also, the results of everything's balanced. And like, at least the court system, take morality away for a second of like, what do you ethically think?
Well, intent matters far more in the predictive sense of
a murder.
Yeah,
like, was it a crime of passion? Was it a?
I heard a interesting opinion that ultimately they were saying that premeditative murder should be like certain types of premeditated murder should actually receive a lesser charge than non-premeditated murder,
like passion of crime or crime of passion.
Crime of passion, because what is more of a danger to society? Someone who just drop of the hat, moment of emotion, whips out a gun and shoots somebody, or someone like person did them wrong and they plan out a murder of like this person. Like, I hate this one. And the targeting.
Yeah.
Just that person. Who's more dangerous on the street?
I see what you mean. Yeah.
And I'm like, I understand that argument, but I don't know. Still should keep both people in jail in general. Unless you're that guy that the father who confronted the
killer
of his killer of his child. Like the guy just got out of the courthouse and the guy just shot him. The father shot him.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pretty sure he got off scot-free as it should.
I mean, that's the way we view justice too, of like who's deserving of that type of justice. I mean, well, with the what's the word? It starts with a V.
Vendetta?
Not vendetta.
Vengeance?
Not vengeance. No, looking for the justice, but not done by actual courts or law, but
Vigilante.
Vigilante, yeah. Vigilante justice, and is that justice too? But yeah, with that question of sorry, you got to get going for work.
Yeah.
Should I finish this then? But it's so interesting.
I know.
Can I ask one last thing?
One last thing.
Okay, one last thing, because with that, like how you view the death of the author and work, of how much does the intentions of the author matter versus what is actually the words on page.
Yeah.
How do you compare that with how you view morality?
Your intent speaks more to your character. Your actions are the things that need to be either forgiven or not. But until you pull that trigger, until you cause harm to another, like there's always you can always step back from the cliff.
Gotcha.
And so, despite someone's intrusive thoughts, like I think it's admirable to be able to like be messed up in the head, have all these terrible thoughts, and like want to do these terrible things, and ultimately turning your life around and not doing them is very admirable. It's like you don't need forgiveness at that point because you didn't actually harm anyone. Forgiveness is for the actions done. Intent is for like, do I trust you moving forward?
Gotcha. Yeah, that's the character I see. Interesting stuff. I wish we'll continue maybe another day because I got more questions, thoughts. Continue the conversation down in the comments below. What do you think about the movie, about the themes this gets at? What would you give the movie? All these things. The drama, it's going to be one of my favorites of the year. So far, it's my favorite of the year.
Yeah.
And I highly recommend if you just watched this whole review and hadn't watched the movie, were just curious about it, and you somehow got to the end, we pretty much said every detail of the movie. But still go watch it anyways. If you
go see it just for that one scene.
Yeah.
You said he was slow.
You said he was slow.
He was slow.
You said it. Bye all.
Bye, everyone.